The air aboard the rescue shuttle was thick with tension, kind that comes after disaster. Dr. Adrian Shaw, field medic and civilian volunteer, wiped sweat from his brow and checked the vitals of his newest patients to alien sisters from the Lysian race, their skin an opalescent shimmer, their eyes large and bright with pain and uncertainty. He'd found them hours ago in the wreckage of a collapsed mining station, buried under twisted beams and half a meter of dust. Humans had already been pulled clear, but when the scanners picked up faint life signs deeper inside, Adrian had refused to give up. He'd crawled through smoke and metal shards, calling out until he heard a soft, musical cry. "Help us, please. Not much time." He'd found them huddled together, bruised but alive. It was the older one, Alla, who spoke first, her voice shaky but determined as she shielded her little sister. "She's hurt. Don't leave us." Adrian had promised in that moment that he wouldn't. He'd carried them both out, risking his own neck as the corridor threatened to cave in. Only when they were safely aboard his shuttle did the weight of it all settle onto his shoulders. Now, as the ship powered through jump space toward the triage station, Adrian worked to stabilize the younger girl, Isla. Her breathing was shallow, her wounds grave. Isla clung to her, refusing to let go, even as Adrian cleaned cuts and injected painkillers. "It's okay," Adrian whispered, his voice gentle. "You're safe now, both of you, I promise." Ella's gaze never left his. "You risked your life for us." He offered a tired, lopsided smile. "That's my job. I'd do it again." Ela stirred weakly, eyes flickering open. She reached for her sister, and then unexpectedly for Adrian's hand. He squeezed gently, offering what comfort he could. "You'll both make it," he said softly, "as long as you stay together." Ella studied his face with a strange intensity. "Among our people, a bond like that is never forgotten. To save a sister is to become one of us." Adrian chuckled, brushing off her words as poetic gratitude. "Let's just get you healed up first. The rest can wait." But in Isla's eyes, something flickered in emotion deeper and older than gratitude. Isla, her strength returning, managed a shy smile as she looked from her sister to Adrian. The rest of the rescue crew watched from a distance, whispering about the doctor and his strange patients. Adrian ignored them, focusing only on the two sisters whose lives now rested in his hands. He thought he was just doing his job, saving lives. It's moving on. He had no idea that in the Lysian language, to save a sister's life was an invitation, and Adrian Shaw's life was about to change forever. Asterisk, the triage station was a blur of bright lights, hurried voices, and the beeping of medical monitors. Adrian stood by Isla's bedside, watching as Alla soothed her little sister, both of them. Now out of immediate danger, he felt the exhaustion in his bones but couldn't bring himself to leave. Most patients, human or otherwise, usually watched their rescuers with awe or gratitude, back to their own kind as soon as they could walk. But these sisters were different. Ayla and Isla insisted on keeping Adrian in sight, growing anxious when he stepped out. Their voices soft but insistent. "You can't go far," Isla pleaded the first time he tried to slip away. "You are part of our circle now. Please, stay." Adrian smiled, a bit uncertain, and sat on the edge of the bed. "I'll stay until you're discharged. But after that, you'll have your people to take care of you." Isla watched him, her eyes shimmering with a strange mix of relief and something deeper. "That is not our way. When a life is saved by another, we honor the bond. We share all things, even our future." Adrian thought she was speaking in metaphors, or perhaps simply overwhelmed by the trauma. He offered her water, helped Isla take her medicine, and answered their questions about human customs and history as best he could. The sisters listened to every word as if it were a promise. Later, as Isla dozed, Isla moved closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "You do not understand what you've done, Adrian, among Lysians. Saving sisters is not just kindness, it is choosing family. You're part of us forever." He looked at her uncertain. "I was just doing what anyone would." She shook her head, a small, rueful smile on her lips. "No, not anyone. Many heard our cries. Only you answered." For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the triage station faded into a hush. Adrian realized that for the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. The walls he'd built around his heart after so much loss, so many failed missions, had been breached by two alien sisters with nothing left but each other. As Isla woke, she took Adrian's hand and pressed it to her cheek, a Lysian gesture of trust and gratitude. When we leave here, we will have nowhere to go. Our clan is gone, but you are our anchor now. Adrian felt his world tilt a little, the rules he'd lived by no longer so certain. He had saved lives before, but never like this.
Never.
With so much at stake, outside the window, a pale sun rose over the station, its light catching the opal shimmer of the sister's skin and the unfamiliar, hopeful look in Adrian's eyes. He thought he was just a doctor doing his duty. But Ayla and Isla saw him as something far more, the beginning of a new life neither of them had dared to imagine. By the second day, word of the Lysian sisters and their human savior had spread through the triage station. Curious nurses and orderlies lingered at the door, casting sidelong glances and whispering about the quiet, intense devotion with which Alla and Isla watched Adrian's every move. Some found it sweet, others less so. Adrian was summoned by the station administrator, brisk woman with a cybernetic eye who regarded him over folded hands. Dr. Shaw, your work here has been invaluable, she began. But the Lysian sisters, they're a security concern. Our people are gone. Immigration won't take responsibility. There are already complaints. Adrian clenched his jaw. They have nowhere else to go, and they're no threat to anyone.
No.
Softened a little. I know they trust you. But you're human, and this station has rules. Once they're well, they'll be moved to the outer camps unless you sponsor them personally. Are you willing to do that? It's a long-term commitment. Adrian hesitated, thinking of his quiet apartment and solitary life. He'd always prided himself on boundaries, on doing the job and moving on. But then he pictured Isla's trembling smile and Isla's quiet strength, the way they looked at him not as a hero, but as family. I'll sponsor them, he said before he could talk himself out of it. I'll make it work. The administrator nodded. You know what that means? They'll live with you. It'll be your responsibility. He nodded, feeling both dread and a wild spark of hope. When he returned to the med bay, Alla and Isla could see the change in him. Alla rose, graceful despite her lingering bruises. You chose us, she whispered, emotion catching in her voice. Isla clasped Adrian's hand, her eyes shining with something like joy. Now we share your life. In our ways, you are our heart. Adrian felt a mixture of pride and fear. Was he strong enough for this? Could he give them what they'd lost? But in that moment, seeing the sisters' faith in him, he knew there was no going back. He helped them pack their few belongings. When they left the triage station, the looks they received were curious, some openly hostile. But Adrian walked, with his head high, the sisters flanking him each step, forging a bond that would be impossible to break. In his tiny apartment, cleared space for them, showed them how to use the food replicator, let them choose which side of the window to sleep by. That first night, as the city lights flickered outside and the world's uncertainties pressed in, Alla and Isla curled close, their heads on his shoulders, their soft, alien hands entwined with his. We are safe with you, Isla whispered. And we are yours, Alla added, her voice barely audible. If you will have us. Adrian felt the last walls around his heart give way. In saving them, he'd been saved himself. Adrian never imagined how quickly a quiet life could turn upside down. Suddenly, every morning brought new rhythms, Alla carefully tending the small balcony garden, Alla learning to cook strange new meals with whatever the food replicator provided. Both of them brightening every corner of his apartment with soft laughter and gentle music from their home world. But for all their gratitude, the sisters struggled with human customs, and Adrian struggled with the intensity of their bond. He left for work. They waited by the door, anxious, until he returned. When he read or tried to unwind, Ayla sometimes touched his face, searching for hidden sorrow, while Isla would slip her hand into his, her skin cool and comforting. Neighbors gossiped in the halls. Some were curious, others suspicious or envious. One afternoon, Adrian came home to find a warning slashed on his door. Keep to your own kind. He tore it down, his jaw tight with anger. When he told the sisters, Illa looked frightened, but Ayla only shook her head. We knew it would be difficult. Our ways unsettle them. But we will not leave you, Adrian. You chose us. Now we choose. You, too. That night, he found them sitting by the window, humming an ancient Lysian song soft, longing and heartbreakingly beautiful. He sat beside them, listening until the song faded and silence took its place. He found himself speaking. Truths he'd long kept buried. I've lost a lot of people, he admitted. After a while, it's easier to stay alone. You can't lose what you don't let yourself have. Ala rested her head against his shoulder. But you let us in, she said gently. Ela nodded. Curling up on his other side, we will never leave you, not as long as you want us. The fear in Adrian's heart began to loosen. He realized that while he had saved their lives, the sisters were teaching him how to live his own how. To risk love, to claim happiness even in a world that didn't always understand. Over the next weeks, the three became a strange, inseparable family. They weathered rude stares at the market, learned to cook each other's favorite foods, even laughed together over mistakes and misunderstandings. Their apartment filled with small treasures, Lysian carvings, human books, dried flowers from the garden, yet outside, the world was watching. Prejudice simmered, and there were rumors that the immigration office might review Adrian's sponsorship. He lay awake at night, listening to the sisters' breathing, vowing to protect them no matter what came. One evening, as they watched the city lights flicker far below, Ayla looked at him with quiet intensity. You did not just save us, Adrian. You gave us a life. And in our hearts, you are not just our rescuer, but the one we wish to share that life with forever. For the first time, Adrian dared to imagine what forever might look like. He took both sisters' hands, feeling their trust, their hope. And for the first time in years, the certainty that he truly belonged. Asterisk. The trouble began with a knock at the door, official sharp and impossible to ignore. Adrian opened it to find two stern-faced agents from Immigration and Security. Their badges flashed cold in the hallway light. We're here to review the status of the Lysian nationals in your care, the lead agent said, barely glancing at Ala and Ayla as they stood, frightened but defiant, behind Adrian. Adrian squared his shoulders. They're under my sponsorship. They have a right to be here. The agent's lips curled in a faint, humorless smile. That's for the board. To decide, we've had complaints. Mixed households like this create tension. Perhaps it would be easier if they relocated to a Lysian shelter. No. Adrian's voice was steady, his conviction absolute. They're not just in my care, they're my family. The words seemed to shock Ayla, who squeezed his hand, tears springing to her eyes. Ayla stepped forward, dignity in every movement. We are safe here. We belong with him. The agents exchanged glances. You'll be notified of the hearing date, they said stiffly, then departed, leaving a chill in the air that no amount of sunlight could banish. That night, anxiety crept back into their small home. Ayla spoke quietly as she prepared tea. If they take us away, if it brings you harm, would you still fight for us? Adrian looked at her, at Ayla, and felt the answer ring through every fiber of his being. There's no one else I'd fight for. I won't let them take you. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. As the hearing approached, rumors swirled in the neighborhood. Some whispered that Adrian had lost his mind, others that he was a hero. Most just watched, curious to see if kindness or prejudice would win. On the day of the hearing, the three of them stood side by side before the council. Questions flew about loyalty, about culture, about whether an alien bond could ever be. As strong as blood, Alice spoke for them all. He risked everything to save us. We have lost our people, our home, our clan, but Adrian gave us family. We do not care for rules that say love must look one way or another. He is ours and we are his. Adrian added, voice rough with emotion, I saved their lives. But they saved mine too. Isn't that what humanity is supposed to mean? The council fell silent, taken aback by the force of their unity. In the anxious days that followed, they clung to each other, refusing to let fear take what they'd built. Neighbors who'd once gossiped came by quietly, leaving notes of support. The local doctor, a crusty old woman, sent over Lysian remedies and fresh bread. At last a message arrived. Sponsorship confirmed. Household granted protected status. No further review required. They read it together. Relief and joy tumbling over them in laughter and tears. Alla and Isla hugged Adrian so fiercely he nearly lost his breath, and for a long moment nothing else mattered. No rules, no doubts. Just the miracle of finding a home in each other. That night, as the sisters curled against him beneath a blanket of stars visible through the window, Adrian whispered the words he'd never dared to say before. "You're my family. I want you here. Always." Alla kissed his brow. Alla pressed his hand to her cheek, and together, they watched the city lights flicker, a signal that even in a world divided by fear, love could build something unbreakable. Asterisk for the first time. Since the rescue, their home felt truly safe. The thread of separation gone, Adrian, Ayla, and Isla slipped into a rhythm all their own. Mornings started with shared breakfast, Sela's favorite sweetbread, Adrian's strong coffee, Ayla's herbal teas that filled the apartment with a calming scent. Laughter, once uncertain and rare, now filled the small space as naturally as sunlight. Ayla began to make friends with neighbors, teaching them Lysian words and the delicate art of braiding silken cords into jewelry. Ayla took up drawing, covering their walls with sketches of places she wanted to see, often including Adrian and her sister in every landscape. Adrian, for his part, found new purpose in his work. Saving lives had always mattered, but coming home, he realized, had never meant. So much they faced challenges, of course. Some people in the city still muttered when they passed by as a group. Occasionally an old friend of Adrian's would show up, wary or awkward, unsure how to treat the sisters. But more often than not, kindness won out. The woman at the corner market slipped Isla extra fruit. The building superintendent, once cold, started chatting with Ayla about gardening tips that night. The three would gather by the window, watching the city glow and sharing stories, memories of lost worlds, dreams for the future. Sometimes Adrian caught himself wondering what his life might have been if he hadn't heard that cry for help in the darkness of the collapsed mining station. He realized, with a smile, that he would never want to go back. One warm evening, as rain pattered softly outside, Isla pulled Adrian and Ayla into a dance in the living room, spinning and laughing. The three of them tangled together in a clumsy, joyful embrace. Afterward, Ayla rested her head on Adrian's shoulder. "We never thought we would feel safe again. But with you, we have more than safety. We have belonging." Adrian kissed her temple, his heart full. "I thought I was just saving lives. But you too gave me a life worth living." Isla smiled, curling into his other side. "Together, we are whole." The world outside would always be complicated, sometimes harsh, sometimes beautiful. Here in the quiet moments and laughter, in shared meals, in simple touches, and the warmth of belonging. Adrian, Alla, and Isla discovered a kind of love that no law could grant and no prejudice could erase. Asterisk seasons turned. With each passing month, the little apartment above the city changed. Shaped by laughter, learning, and the slow weaving of three lives into one, Allah's braided jewelry became popular in the marketplace, her delicate patterns spreading through the city like a gentle signal of unity. Isla's drawings decorated local cafes and clinics, each one stamped with a tiny mark, two intertwined stars, and a human hand, her symbol for family. Adrian's name, once just another among thousands of field medics, became whispered with respect for the way he brought people together. Crossing lines few dared. Neighbors who'd once watched from afar began to seek them out, a widower looking for company, a lost child needing comfort. Even another alien lonely, frightened, and hopeful, asking how to begin again. The apartment was rarely empty. Some came for advice, some for a hot meal, some just for the comfort of being in a place where everyone truly belonged. Adrian, Ayla and Isla stood at the center of it, all not as outcasts or a curiosity, but as a beacon. Their love, unorthodox and deep, spoke for itself: compassion, loyalty, and the courage to build something beautiful in a world that didn't always understand. One evening, after a small gathering had drifted home, the three stood together on their little balcony, arms wrapped around each other, city lights blinking below. Ala looked at Adrian, her voice soft but certain. "You didn't just save our lives, you gave us a world. We want to share every part of it with you." Illa squeezed his hand, her eyes shimmering with hope. "We have chosen you, Adrian, and you have chosen us." He smiled, tears pricking his eyes. "Thought I was just doing my job. But you, to your love, made me brave. It made me whole." As night fell, their hearts beat together a promise, a circle, a future chosen and built, not given or granted. Word of their family, and the safe harbor they'd made, spread far beyond the city. In time, others followed their example. Families of every kind began to take root, showing the world that what really mattered wasn't blood, but the willingness to reach out, to trust, and to share life freely. From a single act of rescue, a legacy was born, a human who risked everything to save two sisters, two aliens who taught him what it meant to truly live. A family found, chosen, and unbreakable. The end. Asterisk.